into A to Z Sports prime time on a Tuesday night. Hope everybody's feeling right. Hope you're living well this evening. I have had an interesting day, but I'm excited to be here with you guys and to spend some time talking about what the hell is going on in the NFL, because a pretty unique situation presented itself today, and I found myself really just enthralled in what happened to Denver Broncos right tackle and former Tennessee Volunteer Ja'Wuan James. We'll spend some time on how a horrific decision by NFL players kind of found themselves in this tricky spot. Lewis Chesney says first. Matthew Egger says first. I don't know who was first, but Robert Lahue was the first one. Actually, if I'm being completely honest, Brad Litford was the first on YouTube. But you guys, you can catch up here on A to Z Sports prime time. So we'll spend some time on what happened with Ja'Wuan James today and why it doesn't affect the Titans. Fortunately for them, we'll talk about Aaron Rodgers, because that's not something that we've really discussed at length at all. He absolutely nuked the entirety of all of the NFL on draft night, and just completely, we haven't had a chance to get to it, to be quite honest with you. It is a Tuesday night, so we will have a gone viral video presented for you as well. Titans for Life says, "Hey Buck, is your show starting later from now on, or was it just tonight?" It's tonight, because I'll be honest with you, I had my second COVID shot yesterday, and I have been under the weather all day. As Puka says, surprised you're here. And I really, until I woke up a little later. I woke up a little later than I anticipated tonight, which is why we're a little late. But I didn't do the radio show today because I was feeling just downright awful. But I'm feeling like a new man. I feel like a superhero now. I'm double vaxxed up and I'm ready. Ben Hall says, "Let me know how the 5G transformation goes." Man, you guys are a trip. Anyway, so we'll talk about all of those things over the course of tonight's show. Before we get into the conversation, let me tell you to share this show, or remind you, not tell you. I would gently remind you, if we could be so kind to share this show wherever it is that you view with us. Good evening to you, Jeff Roberts. Thanks for stopping by. If you're like Jeff Roberts and you view with us on Facebook Live, it's very simple. I'll do it with you right now. You go to Facebook Live, you hit share. You hit share now to public. It's just down there in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. When you see our notification, share now to public, and it's done on Facebook Live. If you're with us on Periscope or Twitter, you can retweet the show. In the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, we would appreciate your participation there. If you are on Twitch or on YouTube, like so many of you are, we would invite your participation tonight, and just, text the link to a friend. Maybe get them involved if they have anything to say about how badly the NFL players, some of them at least, botched this particular situation that we're getting ready to address. Jeff Rubel says, "Are the dumbasses coming back tonight?" No, just me. The dumbass is back for at least another primetime show, and we will enjoy it together. So now let us begin officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports primetime on a Tuesday night. I'm your host, Buck Rising, and I'm proud, as always, to be presented to you by Two Rivers Ford, the best in the business, the name you know, the brand you trust, for nearly 40 years in Middle Tennessee, the best possible car buying experience, and the best possible American-made vehicles are just waiting for you 7 miles east of the airport at Two Rivers Ford, or online at tworiversford.com. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Big boxing match coming up this weekend. You're going to want to get in on the action. I'll tell you more about that later when you use the promo code ATOZ Sports, A to Z Sports, just like you see behind me in the DraftKings Sportsbook app. The Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage at GaryAshton.com, the official real estate agent of all of your favorite sports teams and your favorite streaming sports show. A to Z Sports Prime Time. Use the Ashton team, the best in the business, at GaryAshton.com. Of course, Brymac Mechanical, satisfaction guaranteed. That's what you want on all of your HVAC needs. Brymac will get it done. BRYMAK, Brymac.com. Okay, so what is going on with the NFL players? Because a certain segment of the NFL player population made a decision earlier, I guess last month, to essentially take a stance against, and under the recommendation of the Players Union, to take a stance against showing up for voluntary in-person off-season workouts. Again, voluntary being the key word. So now a situation has arisen that that really is the biggest and best reason for NFL players to not further hold out from voluntary off-season workouts. Remember, the Titans were very diplomatic about their approach, and I'll explain to you how we found ourselves, or how one particular player, one former Tennessee Vol and now Denver Bronco, found himself in a position where he may be out $10 million. And I'll explain that to you over the course of this evening's program. But first, your Two Rivers Ford take. Are you for or against NFL players sitting out of voluntary off-season in-person workouts? A lot of qualifiers there. Are you for or against it? Here in the comment section on A to Z Sports Prime Time. Please, if you would be so kind, let me know in the comments section your Two Rivers Ford take. While you guys do that, I'll tell you about Two Rivers Ford. If you are like me, now more than ever, you want to trust or you want to work with local companies because you know that it is important to keep the local economy functioning at a high level. But you also want a local company that operates with honesty and integrity. That's exactly the way that Two Rivers Ford has made a name for themselves in Middle Tennessee since 1983, with exceptional customer service, an award-winning service department, fine quality Ford American-made vehicles, a non-commissioned sales staff that puts zero pressure on you throughout the course of the car buying experience. Two Rivers Ford is the best in the business. So if you're like me, you want a brand that you know that is respected, that will treat you right, and will take care of all of the needs that you require. Two Rivers Ford can do that when you go pay them a visit in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com. They present the take each and every night. Hope you're feeling better, says Randy. I'm feeling much better since I had my third nap of the day, basically. I was pretty knocked out. Salmon, is it salvia or saliva? I think it's saliva. Salmon saliva, either way. So you're saying that you're getting tired. I was very tired earlier today, but I am since recovered from my exhaustion. Many Packer fans upset at the Packers blame them for drafting Love, says Puka. We'll talk about Aaron Rodgers later on. Hello again from Australia, Buck. Hello, Sean. Thank you for dropping in to the show. I think I have 6 followers, says King Mofaka. I think you need at least 10 to share. It's all right, buddy. Share it if you want. We appreciate your participation either way. Love you, Buck, says Lucas Burks. Thank you very much. Do you mind sharing which vaccine that I had? Yes, I had. So, well, let me start there because a lot of you were asking vaccine questions. I got Pfizer. I got it done very, very quickly and easily in my neighborhood off Jefferson Street here in downtown Nashville. It was incredibly quick. I did experience some exhaustion. So I took the day off of the radio show just to kind of make sure, that I wasn't pushing myself too hard. A lot of fluids. Puka was a lot of you were kind enough to check in on me today because Nick Cale, I guess, filled in for the radio show and you guys were demanding that I make a return. So I felt, once I woke up from my third nap of the day, I said, well, hell, I feel great. I can do prime time and I'll do the radio show tomorrow. So here we are ready to do prime time. I even wrote an article. I've been doing Titans questions on the Instagram story. I feel great. So Pfizer, because I did my research, AstraZeneca not approved in the United States. The Johnson & Johnson one, very, very minimal sample size of the blood clot situation, but why risk it? Moderna seems like it could, it has just a slightly less effectiveness than Pfizer, but the city of Nashville was offering up Pfizer shots. I'm like, yeah, stick me with a couple of those. Let's get rocking. I'm ready to get drunk and naked in the streets as soon as humanly possible. And hopefully this shot that I won't hit my arm too hard because it hurts a little bit, but this second shot that I have secured will allow me to do so as quick as humanly possible. So I'm very excited about that. Stephen Harris says, why is everyone assuming they know some teams knew about the Weaver incident ahead of time before judging how others didn't know? Well, we talked about Weaver last night, Stephen. In fact, I wrote about this. So if you want to read that and pop back in when we're talking about something else, you can do that because I have the information out there for you. Buck was under the weather being a case of beer, says Matthew. No, I'm not a beer drinker, but Cinco de Mayo is tomorrow, and I love tequila without question. Sounds optional to me. Whoever needs the improvement better take advantage of the program, says Johnny Goodman. I don't know what that means. Anyway, let's talk about the money moves because Juwan James could potentially have cost himself $10 million today. It's a problem. So now Juwan James finds himself in a situation, and I'll read you Adam Schefter's report, courtesy of ESPN.com. Right tackle Juwan James, injury-crossed career, took another difficult turn Tuesday. I'm just reading straight up from Schefter's article. Team sources told ESPN that James suffered a torn Achilles tendon in a workout away, keyword, from the Broncos facility. The injury is considered season-ending, and James will have surgery to repair it. Here's the kicker. Given James' injury occurred when he was not at the team facility, it could be classified as a non-football injury, or NFI, and the Broncos would not be obligated to pay James his $9.85 million base salary. Now, if you'll remember correctly, the Broncos were one of the teams that put out a statement saying that they, in unison and with the recommendation of the Players Union, would not attend in-person off-season voluntary workouts. And so now people like Juwan James, if they get injured working out away from team facilities, they can be subject to the NFI list, the non-football injury list, and have their contract basically voided. That is not something that it seems was terribly well thought through by the Players Association, by the Players Union when they made this recommendation. So the question is, are you for or against NFL players attending in-person voluntary off-season workouts? Let's see. Oh, that's so sad, says Stacy. Yeah, 100%. Mayburn Wright says, Buck, I listen to you every day. I'm from Columbia. I love your show. Let's go Titans and Vols. Praying that you will be great after the vaccine. Well, Mayburn, it's been just over 24 hours. I feel spectacular. So that was very, very happy. So I was very, very happy to get my second shot yesterday. Help me understand something. How do you sit out on something that's voluntary, says Chill Mode? Well, because you guys, I don't know how many of you played football, and that's not a requirement to be an intelligent to be an intelligent football fan to have played the game, but it does help from the context of understanding how coaches are with anything that's voluntary, right? Coaches view the absence of players during something that, even if it is considered voluntary, it's not actually voluntary. They're going to make demands of you, or they're going to strongly suggest that you be a part of the team building exercises and the team building activities. And if you want your shot to, start your first opportunity for your first year to push for a starting role, well, why wouldn't you try to get better, right? Good is the enemy of great is something that my high school football coach used to say. And we had plenty of voluntary in-person off-season workouts. And you know what we did? We all showed up to the voluntary workouts because we know the coach would get a piece of our ass if we didn't. So the same is, to a lesser degree because they're paid. But to a lesser degree, this is true. Buck, I think you should incorporate a nightly joke on the show. I feel like you're filled with dad jokes. Now, dad jokes are bad. My jokes are good. Do not accuse me of lowbrow humor like dad jokes. Come on, I'm better than that. Voluntary means the NFL is too cheap to pay for player attendance, which is a funny way to put it, considering that they're just printing money hand over fist. That's perfect. Players don't want to show up to the facilities, but want to go do their own thing on a high school field if they get hurt. Oh, fudging. Well, fudging is not a term I've heard in quite some time. Thank you, Lucas Burks. But are you for or against the situation with NFL players sitting out? I will tell you that this is the biggest issue, because Valentino says that's BS. Wow. I mean, low key, it's not though. Like it's not bullshit. If that is a part of the team's requirement, and the players, one would imagine, had this information relayed to them, and if they didn't necessarily pick up on it the first time, then that's kind of on them. But if these rules have been in place for quite some time. So now that the NFL players have decided, I'm going to go work out elsewhere. I would prefer to do phase one virtually, to do the classroom meetings virtually, and to work out at my own place, or in a place that's by where I stay in the off season, and make my life a lot easier, until you blow out your Achilles at a high school football field, because God knows, whether you're working out on the turf, whether it's grass, you don't know if the field's being conditioned correctly. There are so many more variables that NFL teams, if you are at their facility, they will account for, especially for your finances. If you are outside of their facility, they certainly will not. So, yeah, it does sound like bullshit, but it's the rules. Like, the rules have been written, and one would assume that the players had an understanding of the rules when they took this stance. So I do feel for him because it's awful, and this will be the second year that he is. I can't remember if he was an opt-out last year or if he was injured, because he did not play against the Titans, and I can't remember the reason, in week 1 of the regular season at Mile High last year. But for me, them's the breaks. So either attend and work out in a place where you're going to be financially protected, or don't and risk the consequences, right? It's not voluntary, says Mr. Aurelio. King Mofaka says it's kind of messed up. James was staying dedicated to his work. If he got injured skydiving, okay. Yeah, I know. But, it's it's like workplace liability. If something happens to you in the workplace and your place of employment is liable, you're going to get compensated. You're going to get workers' comp. If you do something outside that affects outside of the business that affects your ability to work, well, that's on you, dummy. It's in the same as in any workplace. So if you're not offering voluntary workouts, how are you going to penalize an athlete for working out? That's dumb as hell. Well, they are offering voluntary workouts. It's just whether the players want to attend them or not. This was the Broncos players on the recommendation of the NFLPA that did this. This wasn't the Broncos organization saying, yeah, we're not going to have these things. It's the players that decided to take this stance. Voluntary matters more in high school and college than the pros, in my opinion, says Mason. Yeah, maybe so. But they still put the same kind of pressure on you. Voluntary means we already read that comment from Titans for Life. He opted out. Thank you, producer Reed, doing an exceptional job. Opted out of the 2020 season. And very happy, by the way, to have producer Reed back. He was absent for a bit last week, and we're very grateful for his presence because my life was considerably harder without him. And I say that in the public place just so I don't forget to say it to him privately later. So excellent job by producer Reed. We welcome you back with open arms. If you had a bad day skydiving, it might not have gone as well, says Brad. Yes, indeed. When you file insurance claim on your car, you have to tell the story of what happened. Sometimes you don't have cameras. Why isn't it the same with athletes? He said he was working out, says Tom. Oh, well, I mean, it should be, of course, Tom. The case that you're making is complete and totally reasonable. But the NFL is not interested in reason. They're interested in, if the Broncos can get out of paying you $10 million and you're like not that great of a player anyway, because Juwan James, it's crazy to me that he ended up going in the first round when he did to the Dolphins and got a big money contract from the Broncos. But if they think that he's not in a position where, and at this point it's season ending, they can save that $10 million, go out and get another player, they're going to do it. I think it's crazy that players want to work out by themselves, but if something happens to them, they want compensation. GTFOH. Is that GTFO? Oh, okay. So, yeah, I forgot about the here. How does that work for their cap, though, says King Mofaka? Well, essentially, they can void it. It's the rules. Don't think it's right and why it's on the PA. Hopefully, the organization would honor his contract. If nothing, irresponsible. It's not on the it's unlikely at that point. But I'll tell you that I am for, at this point, players attending in some form or fashion because it takes very little effort. Given the finances that most NFL players have at their disposal, it takes very little effort to travel to your city of the team that you currently play for and to work out there. It's not worth the risk, especially if you're somebody who, like Juwan James, is due a substantial payday and can very easily have that money voided now. It's just not worth it. Because the NFL, is structured in a way that it's going to be inherently in favor or anti-labor, even though the labor is how they make all their money. So it is to the benefit of the league that they work out elsewhere, because if somebody else gets injured, God forbid, the team can save money and the team can go out and get other players, because this is a sport that just runs through bodies. Like, they're not worried about that. They're just worried about the finances and how can they, correct the issue. But that is why I would say I am for players attending at this point. Whereas earlier I was against. You know what else I'm for? I'm for DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Literally, the hits keep on coming from one boxing event to the next. They grow in excitement and anticipation. This weekend, no different. Two of the sport's most respected fighters stepping into the ring Saturday night. There is no better place to get in on all of the action than with DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. For this weekend's fight, DraftKings is offering all new users a shot at turning $1 into $55. 55 to 1 odds. You're not going to find that anywhere else. Plus, with basketball and hockey playoffs right around the corner, shout out the Preds, DraftKings Sportsbook has even more ways for you to make it rain. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code A2Z Sports when you sign up for a limited time. All new users can bet $1 to win $55 on this weekend's main event. That's right. DraftKings Sportsbook is going all out for new users by offering them a chance to win $55 when placing a bet of $1 on this weekend's big fight. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Tennessee only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789. DraftKings Sportsbook, promo code A2Z Sports. Ravens Titans draft pick. Cosell said on 3HL sees him as a center. What do you think, Buck? I've seen Dylan Radins play one game in the last almost 500 days at this point. I have no earthly idea how to evaluate him, but the Titans think that they do. So Godspeed. And if he can play center, that's great because Ben Jones is getting older. Consequences are still a thing, right? Says Mark Beach. Yeah, 100%. They would trade his ass in a heartbeat to get Rodgers, says Jeff. Who are you talking about? What if players, Locke got the key, says Lewis Chesney. That's a dad joke by Lewis. What if players know they will get guaranteed money, i.e. Isaiah Wilson? The Broncos can use that money to strongly pursue Aaron Rodgers, says Jeff. I mean, they could afford him anyway, Jeff. It's what are you going to give? What are you going to give Green Bay that makes it worth their while? Doesn't sound like anything Green Bay is interested in at this point for Aaron Rodgers. Let's see. I mean, they are protected while at the facility, then they should be there. To me, it's just common sense, says Chillmode. I agree. Let's see. Jeff Rubel says, Buck, do you think they just flat out not pay him? I think they pay him some. And I don't know the structure of Juwan James's contract. So I would not be able to answer that intelligently. And I don't know the Broncos organization like I do, say, the Titans, right? Where the Titans, when there were training camp holdouts and things like that, the Titans would end up, allowing the player that ended up pulling out, assuming that they showed up, allow the player that ended up holding out to come out and, to give them back at least a portion of of the money that the team ended up finding them. But the Broncos may be different. I have no idea. And they've got a new general manager. So I bet James doesn't even know, because I think his name's George Payton, the new GM of the Broncos, and Juwan James was signed by John Elway. So this Payton could say, yeah, you're not my player. I don't care. Hugh GR says, I'm here. Well, welcome, Hugh. I regret to inform you that we did not wait for you to start the proceedings. Dime Soul 2020 says, why does this channel disable comments after the video is posted? Well, what do you mean? Your comments are right there. I'm looking at your video, or I'm looking at your comment, and here's the video, Dime Soul. So I don't know if this is on your end, but figure it out. Rodgers isn't coming to Nashville to turn around and hand Henry the ball 30 times a game. Rodgers isn't coming to Nashville. Who on earth was alleging that? Jeff Rubel says Elway out. I didn't know that. Well, Elway is still there in some kind of like advisory role. But Payton is the new general manager in title. Elway, they kept on as some kind of like football executive, kind of for what I imagine the Preds will do with David Poyle whenever he gets, whenever they try to muscle him out. Most channels only do that if they know they are going to receive a lot of negative comments. I mean, Dime Soul, I'm reading your comments. I'm looking at your comments. Nobody's disabled your comments because you're making your comments. What is the issue here? Me either, says D. Marie. Broncos front office is savage, says Dom. Yes, typically. Listen, John Robinson's got a little bit of a savage streak in him. Master L. Casey. No kidding. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Aaron Rodgers, because we have not spent. Hey, Rodgers. He says he thinks he means after the session ends, says Joshua. I don't know what happens after the session ends. I just go about my day. If you want to keep commenting once the video is over, like, what are you gonna watch it on replay and You're going to watch it on replay and comment like retroactively. That's an interesting tactic, but do you? Maybe I don't even like you guys can hit up Austin and Zach in the morning. They probably know more about the YouTube settings than I do. I literally just come in here, I sit down in my office, I turn on the camera, and I press go. Like that's the extent of my knowledge with how any of this shit works. So I forgive me if I'm not able to resolve your technical issues. LOL. Says Dirk Time acting like Buck's coming back to check the comments. Yeah, I love you guys, but no. I'm moving on with my day. You know what I'm saying? Some guy at ESPN wrote an article that included the Titans and trade scenarios for Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, it's just no, it's not happening. All right, so let's talk about Aaron Rodgers. The question that I have for you guys here on Facebook Live or on A to Z Sports Primetime, rather. Fair or foul? Aaron Rodgers trying to force his way out of Green Bay. Let me know in the comment section on Facebook Live, on Periscope, on YouTube, or on Twitch TV. We will discuss together fair or foul. Aaron Rodgers trying to force his way out of Green Bay. King Mofaka. I'm going to throw that comment up there. Forgets to activate the mic most of the time. I don't say more often than not. I get everything going correctly, but yeah, there are a lot of times where when I do forget to turn on the microphone. So yeah, see, I can't even do that right. And Dime Soul's out here asking me about going back and retroactively reading the comments. And Dime Soul says, obviously not. He can't. That's true. That's an excellent point by you, Dime Soul. But again, if you have questions, comments, or technical concerns, Zach Bingham is your man when they pop on at 8 in the morning or thereabouts. In the meantime, we're going to talk about Aaron Rodgers, and we have some video courtesy of our good friend Diana Rossini. The question, though, here on the Primetime Show, fair or foul? Aaron Rodgers trying to force his way out of Green Bay. Let me know in the comment section on Facebook Live, on Periscope, on YouTube, and on Twitch. We will invite your participation. And we welcome that, in fact, here on the Primetime Show. Fair or foul? Aaron Rodgers trying to force his way out of the Green Bay Packers. While you guys do that, I will tell you about the fine folks at Brymak Mechanical. Why don't we? Brymak Mechanical, BRYMAK. That's Brymak.com. Satisfaction guaranteed on each and every one of your HVAC needs. They will set you up. They will get you in business to succeed. They will put you in your comfort zone as the weather begins to change. BRYMAK, Brymak.com, Brymak Mechanical for HVAC commercially or residentially. They'll do both at Brymak Mechanical. Fair or foul? Rodgers out here trying to shoot his way out of the Green Bay Packers. Jason in real life says, here, let's get to a handful of these comments first. Keelan says fair, Philip fair, Lee Hobbs fair, Mason fair, Kevo Wright fair as long as he stays in the NFC. You ever think Rodgers is coming to us is on the dank? I don't think people call weed the dank, Brad Lipford, but maybe, I don't know what you're smoking. Xavier Clemens says fair, let that man live. Jay-Z in real life says, what platform has the most nightly viewers? I think it varies, honestly, because I'm on all four. I think Twitch is typically the smallest audience. I've got a larger personal following on Twitter than Austin and Zach do. So, from time to time when I retweet my show, it'll do better on Twitter than theirs might, just because I have more people. I think I have just damn near twice as many. I mean, I sound like a douchebag saying that, but I've just got a bigger personal following than the two of them. So when I retweet my show, it tends to pick up a little more traction. And I think Facebook, we're about even because we're talking to the same audience. So I think that, I think it's a toss-up on a night-to-night basis. Rodgers does not want to be in Green Bay. Fair, says Stacy. Lindsay says fair. Lewis says fair. Taylor Pisano says, old Terry gave Aaron the business. Yeah, I heard Terry. I'm blanking on, I almost said Terry McCormick. Terry, who is Terry? The guy who's on all of Fox's NFL coverage. Why am I blanking on Terry's last name? What in the hell is Terry of the Pittsburgh Steelers' last name? He's in Failure to Launch. Bradshaw. Terry Bradshaw. Thank you, Clark Brandon, too. Completely blanked on his name with the penis sock that he wore in. And that is what Terry Bradshaw is most famous for, the penis sock that he wore in Failure to Launch with Matthew McConaughey before Matthew McConaughey turned into an award-winning actor. How crazy is it that we've had Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, and now Aaron Rodgers all went out in less than 6 months? Listen, man, Le'Veon Bell, everybody laughed at Le'Veon Bell, but he kind of set the groundwork for NFL players to do this kind of shit. This is something that Aaron Rodgers considerably more power than Le'Veon Bell. And Deshaun Watson, previously before all of the allegations came out about him, I think it's fair for him to want out. I just don't think it's possible. I don't know where the leverage is for him. I think it's a completely fair and reasonable situation for Aaron Rodgers to say, listen, you guys have done wrong by me multiple times. I am going to remind you who is actually responsible for all of your success, despite you drafting so terribly. And apparently he hates the people in the Packers front office. So I do think it's fair, but it was so funny to watch on the night of the first night of the NFL draft this year, because our friend Diana Rossini does an exceptional job on ESPN, and we have a lot of friends on ESPN who do a great job. Jason Fitz, Mina Kimes, Diana, Golick Jr., a lot of good people doing great work that I've had the good fortune to be able to interact with. But Diana got kind of screwed over with the way that Adam Schefter kind of sandbagged Diana's spotlight on television. She was rocking this killer blue blazer, and Laura Rutledge, who was running the NFL Live. In fact, I went back, I DVR'd that episode of NFL Live just to see how Schefter broke the news. Because essentially Schefter says, hey, Laura, I'm going to come back after we come back from commercial break. I'm going to have some breaking news for you. And it's the biggest scoop of the year. And then what do? They throw it to Diana. And Diana's just looking around like, the hell am I supposed to do with that? You guys screwed me here.
Yeah, Laura, when we come back, I'm going to have some breaking news for you.
Oh, what a tease. Oh, my goodness. Okay, on that note, just wait until we see what that is. I'm not even sure what it is. On that note, we'll go to Diana Rossini with some developing news, a developing story, Diana. We're now just hours away. I'm sorry, Diana. That Schefter bomb just came in there. What's the latest you're hearing with the Saints?
Every single person at home is like, get this chick off the air right now. We want to hear Adam Schefter. We want Adam. We all want Adam.
It was so funny to watch in real time. And then Diana went on to give a report about the Saints. But dear God, to be put in that position is just absolutely unfair. Schefter screwed her on that particular assist, because it wasn't an assist. It was just kind of like, all right, everybody shut up, so we can get through this commercial break and go to Schefter. But it is an interesting scenario because, Rodgers can straight up retire. That's an option. Or he can sit out games, but then he's going to have to pay back. I think the report was like $20 million that Aaron Rodgers would have to give back in terms of roster bonuses for this particular situation. It did not change the mind of the Packers in the draft, but you're just sitting there looking at Aaron Rodgers, saying, what on earth do you do? Now you have Matt LaFleur, former Titans offensive coordinator, who's now the head coach there in Green Bay, saying, he can't fathom Green Bay without Aaron Rodgers. You've had reports of all of these people flying out west to go visit Aaron Rodgers and be like, damn, Aaron, please see some reason. Please come back, because he not only did they draft his replacement, he and say, okay, this has got a shelf life. Clearly, what did he do right after that? He made it so awful for them because he won the MVP, and the coaching decision screwed him. LaFleur, I don't know who had the worst fourth down call in the postseason this year. Mike Vrabel was a pretty bad one. Matt LaFleur's decision to kick a field goal instead of letting Aaron Rodgers go for it, also fairly cowardly. I think probably with the scope of the game, it would be Rodgers and LaFleur, given that they were playing Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the title game. But yes, it is this. Is it the same if he retires, says Titans for Life? I think it might vary differently, but it is a substantial amount that he would have to pay back. And money is not the end of the world to Aaron Rodgers, but I mean, does he straight up want to retire? Because, you can retire and the Green Bay Packers still own the rights to Aaron Rodgers should he decide to come back. Remember Gronkowski, the Patriots, Gronk was retired, came back out of retirement. The Patriots had to trade Gronk to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because Gronk was retired, but they still owed his rights. So retirement, really not an option either if you still want to play. I mean, he can sit out games and he can force their hand and be like, all right, Jordan Love's supposed to replace me. Go out there, try to replace me, see what happens. And that would probably be the best decision. But again, the finances on that are substantial. Then I don't know that Aaron Rodgers wants to just straight up eat the money like that. Lucas Burks says, oh, I'm about to sneeze. Oh no. Have I ever sneezed in the middle of the show? I don't think I have, which is a surprise because these set lights are very, very bright. And now I'm trying not to look at them because I feel the sneeze and it's almost worse to hold in the sneeze, but I don't know. I don't know that I've ever sneezed live on the show, but I'm sure it's going to happen at some point. Hopefully, there's no spray. That wouldn't be very COVID safe in protocol. Let's see. But Gronk was still under contract. What happens if it lapses? Well, Aaron Rodgers still got 3 years left on his contract, so it wouldn't necessarily lapse unless he was going to, basically sit out till he was 40 and then come back. It's the same as when Favre had to choose the same, says C.H. Bond. It's a little different. It's a little different with Favre and Rodgers, but I do understand. Great content, Buck says, Kevo. Yeah, me sneezing on camera would make for great content. Karen O'Keefe says, just sneeze. No, damn it. We're almost at the end of the show. I will not sneeze, but I do think it's fair for Aaron Rodgers to want out. I just don't think it's necessarily feasible. It's people in hell want ice water, baby, but they ain't getting it. Aaron Rodgers is going to have a tough time orchestrating a move out of Green Bay. Like the most recent example I can think of where a team actually conceded to something like this was Carson Palmer and that was like Al Davis died that season and Hugh Jackson got control of the Raiders. So Hugh Jackson ended up trading for Carson Palmer, who he ended up, I think he gave up a first round pick for Carson Palmer with the Raiders. Raiders Carson Palmer was terrible. And he went to Arizona. He was great again. But like Al Davis had to die in season and the coach who had a relationship with Carson Palmer had to be the one who got personnel say so. So I just think there's too much that he's up against at this point. Do you agree with J Mart that Rodgers will be in Denver by game one? No, I don't. That's Jason being an unabashed homer because he's a Broncos fan. And he wants, of course he made a compelling argument. He's a Broncos fan. What is he going to say? Oh, no, I wouldn't take Aaron Rodgers on my team. Of course he's not going to be on their starting roster. Hell out of here. That's just, I mean, is it possible? Sure. Is there a compelling argument for? Hell no. There's way, way, way too many reasons the Green Bay would say, no, kick rocks. We're just going to keep you here. And if you want to retire, retire. All right, gone viral video here on A to Z Sports Prime Time. Let's move on to one. It's the halfway point in our week already, which feels crazy to say. I say this question makes me laugh. The gone viral. Well, it's not a video this week. It's a picture. Well, it's not even really a picture. It's a statement, but it's a funny one. Gone viral. Does anybody have bigger stones than the New York Rangers public relations department? And if you haven't seen this, I will explain to you here in just a second on A to Z Sports Prime Time. Jeremy James says, do you agree with Terry Bradshaw, that Rodgers is weak and has been coddled? I totally disagree. No, Terry's just, a product of a different generation and he's an old man yelling at a cloud. No, he's not been coddled. He's been frankly disrespected. The idea that it's what did they take? A wide receiver? They took Amari Rodgers when the Green Bay Packers. They take him in the second round after the Titans traded out of 85. So no, that would have been the third round. So the Titans traded out of 85. They took a wide receiver on day 2, which is like the highest the Packers have drafted a wide receiver in like the better part of a decade or something ridiculous. No, he's not been coddled. He's just, Terry Bradshaw's a dinosaur and he's pissed that things aren't like they used to be in 1960, whatever the hell, whenever Terry Bradshaw played. And, that's no disrespect to Terry Bradshaw, but I don't know anything about Terry Bradshaw as a football player. I just know him as Matthew McConaughey's dad in Failure to Launch with the penis sock on. Like, that's all I know about Terry Bradshaw and the silly hats that he wears on Fox's NFL broadcasts. I think both sides are dug in. Rodgers will hold out long enough to show up that Jordan Love is the mistake. I mean, I think he's super vindictive. mean, you're talking about a dude who just straight up doesn't talk to his own family. And, we don't know the reasons behind that, but like, you want to talk about a guy who holds a grudge? Aaron Rodgers holds a grudge. Anyway, let's move on in the comment section on A to Z Sports Primetime. Gone viral. Who has bigger stones? The New York Rangers Public Relations Department. Name me a team if you can name a team. I don't know that you can because I don't think that there is one. But after, while you guys weigh in on that, I'll tell you about the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage at GaryAshton.com. That is where you go for your dream address without the stress. That is where you go for satisfaction or to sell your home for more if you so choose at GaryAshton.com. They will put you in the best position to succeed because the housing market right now is out of control. And they want to make sure that you see every dollar that you deserve for your property. GaryAshton.com. You can find out more about their guaranteed local offer there. The official real estate agent of the Titans, the Preds, and A to Z Sports Primetime at GaryAshton.com. Almost sneezed there again. We're going to get through this. I swear to God, we're going to get through this. John Bertotti says that statement was epic. Their statement was one of the most cold-blooded I've ever heard. So let me set the backdrop for you on what happened with the New York Rangers. And I think Tom Wilson plays for the Washington Capitals, if I'm not mistaken. But this was something that made me laugh out loud. The New York Rangers absolutely crushed the NHL's. His name is George Peros, and his role is they crushed the NHL and the player safety department because longtime Capitals player Tom Wilson basically got a slap on the wrist. He got a $5,000 fine for some shit that he pulled on Monday night against the Rangers. He grabbed a dude by the hair and then yanked him to the ground. It sounds like the player that he got into the spat with may not be able to play for the rest of the season. But let me read you the statement, because this is something that is absolutely cold-blooded, and I wish more teams had the kind of stones that the New York Rangers do. Here is the statement from the New York Rangers on the $5,000 fine and no suspension that Tom Wilson was given. The New York Rangers are extremely disappointed that Capitals forward Tom Wilson was not suspended for his horrifying act of violence last night at Madison Square Garden. Wilson is a repeat offender with a long history of these type of acts, and we find it shocking that the NHL and their Department of Player Safety failed to take the appropriate action and suspend him indefinitely. Wilson's dangerous and reckless actions caused an injury to Artemi Panarin that will prevent him from playing again this season. So I was correct. Panarin will not be able to play again because of what Wilson did. Here's the killer. We view this as a dereliction of duty by NHL head of player safety George Peros and believe he is unfit to continue in his current role. Hot damn. The New York Rangers off the top rope accusing the NHL of the NHL of dereliction of duty, going straight for the throat of the guy who's responsible for player safety, because, Tom Wilson has been basically just, existing as a thug in the NHL for the better part. I mean, almost the entirety of his career. This is a habit at this point, especially when you yank a dude down by his hair and he ends up being done for the season. Cold-blooded, 100%. DeMaurice says, just sneeze, Buck. You can see it on your face. I'm trying. I'm going to get through this. We're almost there. Okay. Robert Deerfish says, cold-blooded. Lewis L. Train Morgan says, I think Buck has a new world record for the longest time holding in a sneeze. I honestly deserve some credit. Somebody call Guinness Book of World Records. But gone viral, the funniest thing maybe not the funniest thing that I've seen this week, but the thing that, got the most traction on the internet today is what happened with the New York Rangers and them just straight up taking dudes out at the NHL's front office. Buck, us New Yorkers don't pull no punches. We talk that talk. Yeah, Lewis, but also, I know a lot of great. I used to live in New York. Well, I did live in New York for a time. I also spent some time in New Jersey when I was a little young. So I am well versed in the art of the East Coast. But Lewis, if you're a New Yorker and you're a New York sports fan, then you know about what Craig Carton did to Zach Wilson the other day. The most cringeworthy thing I've heard in my life. So yes, there are a lot of New Yorkers. Most of you don't pull punches, but many of you are scumbags like Greg Carton. So, you take the good with the bad. Lewis is a good one. So we appreciate Lewis's time. Okay, that's the show. I appreciate you guys. I was like, did I get to everything? Yeah, we got to everything tonight. And another long show. We're killing it this week. We're having a lot of fun. I appreciate you guys spending some time here with me. Thank you for your participation as always and for your patience. A little late to start tonight, but I'm feeling much better now. So we are in a good position to come back for the radio show tomorrow. We're going to talk about the Preds before they play tomorrow night. We're going to talk to Will Compton of Bussin' with the Boys. It's on from 10 to 1 on 104.5 The Zone. And I'm going to be fired the hell up because I think that's the first day that I've taken off of radio. And I was disoriented. I think that's why I'm talking so much tonight, because I didn't spend 3 hours talking already today. But the show goes on. The content's going to keep flowing. An article up right now about what's going on with Rashad Weaver. Perhaps worth your time, because I read Kaharski's article on it. We talked about it last night, and I think a DraftKings bet $5. Buck sneezes before he is off the air. Bet. You know what? You can Venmo me $5 right now, because I'm going to make it. And I'm going to keep rolling. I'm going to tell you about the article that I have up at A2ZSportsNashville.com. I'm going to tell you what's on the radio show tomorrow. I'm going to tell you that we're going to be back tonight at about 8 p.m. Central Time or thereabouts for another edition of A to Z Sports Prime Time. I'm going to do it with a smile on my face, with great effort, with great energy, because I'm not tired yet, and I'm sure as hell not going to sneeze. We'll see you guys tomorrow night. Go ahead and Venmo me that $5. No!